Okay, thanks for tuning in once again. I'm going to do a setup of a new fire stopping project on the Boris system. So we're going to show you how to import rates, productivity, um, cost rates, that's your labour rates, and how to import drawings and use them to set up a project for a new client. And we're going to use a client called Acme Construction, and the job number here is 1234. So in the folder on your server will be information relating to the project that you want to set up. So the drawings, which we need to convert to JPEG, and we have the spreadsheets and the matrix for labour, productivity and sell. So if we start with the labour rates, so these are imaginary labour rates, what you will pay your installers if you choose to do so that way is here. Now again, these are imaginary rates, but from 0.05 of a square metre through to 1 square metre for batt and mastic, and there's the price that you will pay for the installer. Slab edge, linear metre up to 100 mil, linear metre to 150, linear metre to 200, and the labour rates on the side there, and so on and so forth. We have the descriptions of the seal types, the dimensions and the rate in column C. So the first thing we have to do is check that we have all of these descriptions in the Boris system. So if I start at the top now and we go to the Boris system, if we go to lists, and we need to make sure that the ZZ master list recognises all these installation types. So if you go to master installation list, click on list entries and just double check. I mean, this is the demo system and there's literally dozens of installation types in here, but none of the rates that we have in that spreadsheet are in the demo system. So actually let me just expand that. Batt and mastic. So as you can see, we don't have batt and mastic in here. So the first thing we need to do is scroll down to the bottom and add an item. So what I would do is copy and paste the batt and mastic description from that spreadsheet, paste it in there, and then we need to, under additional attributes, tell the system how to calculate batt and mastic. And in the case of batt and mastic, it's per square metre. So we have either per square metre pro rata or per square metre chunked. Generally speaking, most people use pro rata, which means 1 square metre, if the rate for 1 square metre is £100 and you do an installation of 1.2, then the rate that the system will calculate is 120, so we'll select pro rata. The chunked version, just to explain, for a 1.2 would add the 1 square metre and the 0.2 of a square metre and come up with £7.20 using these rates here. So it's a decision for the client to make whether they're going to charge per square metre pro rata or chunked. In this case we're going to use pro rata. And click save. So the next item in our list is slab edge barrier. So if I just copy that, if you do a quick find in the system, slab, and you can see slab edge barrier with that exact description doesn't exist within the system. So again, we're going to add this into our system. Add item, paste slab edge barrier, additional attributes. In this instance, Boris has got a fix in here for the X and Y being transposed, so if the engineers on site get the X and the Y the wrong way round, we can choose by meter, largest value is length, chunked. So that's chunked again is you wouldn't charge for part of a square metre, it will only charge for 2 square metres at £10 sorry, 2 linear metres at £10 a linear metre would be £20 even if the engineer booked in 1.5. Pro rata would take the £10, times it by 1.5 and charge £15. So it depends what your agreement is with the client. But I'll change this to chunked for now. And click save, and then that is in the system. Next item is fire collar. I'm going to copy that, control it, and find. So there's some collars in there, but the exact description, what we want to use, again, is possibly not in there. So I'm going to add this down at the bottom as a new rate. Add item, fire collar, additional attributes, and we're going to charge this diameter, largest of X and Y, pro rata. Save, flick back to our spreadsheet, linear gap seal. I'm just going to add all of these because I know that they're not in the system. Additional attributes, linear gap seal is by meter, linear largest value is length pro rata. But as you can see, there's lots of options and they're there for you guys to choose as is necessary as per your rates and conditions agreed with your client. So just a couple more to add now. So compound 50mm, which is going to be square meter pro rata. Next one, 75mm compounds. Add that item, same, square meter, pro rata. There we go. Save. Flip back to the spreadsheet. 100mm compound. Here to go. Fire barrier, so such as a curtain. And whilst this is taking a little bit of time to put all of these different rates in the system, what you must remember is once you've done this once, generally speaking, most of our clients use the same rate descriptions and just changes the price accordingly. So once the rate descriptions are in there, you never need to change that again. It's just the prices, and we can change that in the spreadsheet, which I'll show you to do shortly. So the final one is the fire wrap, and again, fire wrap is diameter, largest of X and Y. Okay, so in theory now, providing I've done everything correct, we should be able to import that that matrix or that list. So if I go back here, as you can see here is our labour rates. So I'm happy with them. They're all in the system. All we need to do now is make sure that this list matches with the other two important lists that we need to use for Boris, which is the sell rates, which you charge your client, and the productivity, if productivity is something you want the system to calculate. So I'll just quickly show you both of those. And to all intents and purposes, both of these spreadsheets look very, very similar. Only difference being this column here is more expensive or a higher value item than the column in the spreadsheet we've just shown you for labour, because of course you pay the installers less than you charge to your clients. So we've got batten mastic, slab edge, collar, linear gap seal, both the compounds 50-75, actually in a third there of 100mm, fire barrier, HP mastic, and fire wrap. So we're happy with those sell rates now, and they should match your tender pricing. I'll just save that. The final one is the productivity. So the productivity, only difference with this spreadsheet is you can see this column here works in minutes rather than pounds. So rather than saying price, it says minutes. And what we're saying here is the system will calculate that your engineers are allowed 60 minutes per square metre fire bat, 15 minutes per linear metre regardless of the gap width for slab edge, 15 minutes for a fire collar for all sizes, and linear gap seals 3 minutes through to 5 minutes for the different gap size, and so on and so forth. But remember, you want to make a change on here, simply fire collar, if you think that's a 10-minute installation, simply change it accordingly. And now that's changed. I'm going to click save, and we can import these rates into our Boris system. I'll just quickly go back onto the Boris system now, close that spreadsheet down so we don't have any conflict when we import it. So now that we know that in our ZZ master list we've got all the different fire stop installation types, the system will recognise them and will allow us to import rates containing those installation types. So if I scroll back up to the top, where we want to go next is to the import the rates. So we have productivity, sell and cost. So if I click on productivity, if you remember, the job number that we are using is job number 1234, Acme Construction, and it's New Build Hospital. So if I import the productivity rates for that particular job, we say going to copy that because I'll use that again in a second, but then I'm selecting import rates, the job number 1234 Acme Construction, go to the matrix, and it's the productivity that we're wanting to import. When I click save, providing the system recognises all the items, then you can see there, here is the productivity imported into the system. So there's two functions that I want to highlight to you here. The first function is the view content, the content. So if you click on that, then we'll see all the different rates and prices, etc., etc. And you can see them in there that are taken from the spreadsheet. If I go back, the next item is we can make a job specific item list for the handheld device. So where you might have hundreds of different imported seal types in the system, and if you go back to the list that I just showed you, you can see I had to expand it to 1,000 because there's so many items in there. What we don't want is we don't want every one of them items to be available on the engineer's device for him to try and select and book an installation that's not relevant to the project. So what we do is click create list for this matrix, and we give this list the same name as the project. I just copied and pasted that from earlier, and I'm going to click save. And you can see that the list has been successfully created. Next thing I need to do, go back to setup, cell rates. We're going to import the cell rates into the system now. Click import rates, paste that name and description. Again, search the desktop, and we're going to find the cell rates. We're going to import those, and then the final step as far as rates are concerned is we're going to bring in the cost rates. Import rates, paste the description, click import, select, and it's the labour this time. Save, and then that's done. So the only other list that we need to create before we can attach all this information to the job is we have in our job folder a drawing for this project. Here in PDF format is the drawing. Problem being, Boris doesn't use PDFs, it uses JPEGs. So we need to use a free online tool to convert that to JPEG, which I'll do now. So this is a website that allows us to select files and choose JPEGs for the output. So if I click choose file and I go back to my job number, select the drawing, and then I'm going to upload and convert that. Once that drawing is uploaded and converted to JPEG, I'll save it back into the folder. Select that. There we go, there we have the JPEG, which is all ready to save now. If I right click, save image as, there's my Acme construction drawings, click save, and we've got the JPEG ready to import into the Boris system. So again, what we need to do is create a list, and this time it's a drawing list. So if I go back to lists, if I scroll down to the bottom and add a new list, we're going to call it job number 123 Acme construction. But what I would do here, just to keep all the drawings together in the list, I call it drawings, and then the job number. Then, because this is a specific type of list, we need to tell Boris that it's a drawing list. So under additional attributes, we are going to tick the box here that says associated image or document. Now this is very important, because if you don't tick this, Boris won't allow you to import drawings into the system. So click save. Now you can see there's our drawings, job number 1234 Acme construction. And when we create a new list, it always throws the list right down to the bottom, so it's nice and easy for you to find. List entries, currently nothing in there, but I'm going to show you now how we do that, and you won't be surprised to know that we just click add item. The item is now going to be called, in this case, ground floor, and we do only have one drawing for this project. By clicking additional attributes, it now gives me the add attachment option, and the search field appears, and we select the JPEG. We save that, and again we save that, and you have now your drawing in the system with a thumbnail image of there. Now imagine if you're working on a multi-story building, so you've got ground, first, second, third. In some cases you might even go up to 50-60 floors. You can add as many as you like in here, and that now is creating your job number 1234 Acme construction drawing list. So we have our drawing lists, we have our labour matrix, our price matrix, and our productivity matrix. Now it's time to create job number 1234 and attach all that information to the job, so that we can then send the job to an engineer. So if I go to setup, let's create Acme construction. So again, down to the bottom of the list, Acme construction. Give them a Sunday name. Smith Street, Leeds, LS11AA. And then click save. That's the customer created. Once we have a customer created, you can see Acme construction are here. Now we need to create the project, because as time goes by, your regular customers will have numerous projects under the pyramid of that particular client. So click Acme construction. And what we need to do is, when we're in here, first thing is always add all templates to Acme construction. And what that allows us to do is send down booking in forms, etc., down to devices, and we'll do a video on that later for you to understand that in a bit more detail. So here are all the templates that are available for engineers to book work against this particular customer. Next thing, we're going to add the location. Now the location is the new build hospital, for which we've just created those rates that we discussed earlier. So we're going to call this job number 1234 Acme construction, new build hospital, and the chances are that the site address is different to the head office address. So there we have the project created, and it's time now to add a list of, as you can see here, drawings. So if we type DR, it'll take us to the drawing section, anything that's in there, and we have job number 1, 2, 3, 4, but I don't think that's the one that we want. That's the one we want. Job number 1, 2, 3, 4, Acme Construction, New Build Hospital. So there's the JPEG now attached to this particular job. The default job number in this case is 1, 2, 3, 4. Generic RAMS document, we're going to use, on this occasion, the generic risk assessment. But I'm going to show you shortly how to add a job-specific risk assessment. This just allows us to use the yes-no answer on the start of day for the engineers, as in yes, have they understood their method statement, and yes, have they read it, or no, if the case is that they haven't. So that just gives us the yes-no question. So now, next tab, under pricing, we select the rates. So productivity rates, if we select this drop down, you can see now there's our productivity rates. We're going to keep these at 100%, and I'll just spend a little time explaining this. So the multiplier for those productivity rates is 1, so exactly what we put in the spreadsheet. But let's say you want to be more generous on productivity because the project's slightly harder than normal, and you want to give the guys on site 50% more time for each installation. Then you type in 1.5, but we'll leave that as 100% for the time being. Same theory with the cell rates. We select the rates that we've imported into the system, and if you've managed to convince your client to pay you 20% extra other than the rates that you've already submitted, then again you would select 1.2, but I'm sure that's not the case, so we will leave that at 100%. But it is a useful tool because, for argument's sake, if a job switches from days to nights and there is an agreement in an uplift on the rate, then this is where you can use that. Cost rates, select your 1, 2, 3, 4, multiplier 1.0. I'm going to tick calculate cost rates. The installation type list, remember a few steps back I showed you how to restrict the number of installation types just to the specific installations within your spreadsheet. This is where we can do that on the job. So if I select here and type in job, there is a few job number 1, 2, 3, 4s, but it's actually this one that we need. And then if you put in your day rates, for argument's sake, let's say, I don't know, 375. And there, providing I've remembered everything, we have created our job. So the only thing left to do now is send the job down to an engineer, or add a risk assessment actually. So to add a risk assessment, method statement, or any other specific document for the project, we simply add document. Now I don't have a risk assessment for this project, but you get the gist of searching through the desktop, and let's say this PDF is the risk assessment and method statement. Click save, and there you have it. There you have a job created, rates imported, drawings, etc. Now let's send that job down to an engineer. So we select jobs at the top. On the top ribbon, scroll down to planner. And we select the person we're sending the job to. Let's say we're sending this job to Andrew. Acme Construction. Now the list is sparse, there's only the one job that we've created, and then Andrew's going to be on that job until the end of the week. So from today until Friday. Hi Andrew, please call to the office to collect 10 times bats and 2 times boxes of plastic. Enjoy. So this is where you can add job specific messages, just trivial things. Don't forget to pick up a van, don't forget to pick up your colleagues, etc., etc., and that message will appear on the device. Once I click save, you'll see here on the planner, so I haven't added a supervisor, so let's say that Paula is the supervisor in this instance. Click save, and that job now is added onto Andrew's device. So when he does his synchronization, that job will appear on Andrew's device and he will be able to book his work in. So in the next video, I'm going to book some work in using the Boris system, and I'll show you how that represents itself back in the all report section. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, please call us on the free phone number where we'll be happy to help.